Attention passionate Atlanta, Falcons fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Atlanta, FALCONS, FANS. Let's get to the news now, guys. You know how the NFL offseason always brings a little bit of drama, a little bit of intrigue, and sometimes even surprises that can shake up the entire landscape of the league. And right now, the buzz around the NFC South, especially concerning the Atlanta Falcons, is firing up a lot of speculation. One of the most talked about rumors involves the Detroit Lions and their star wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, you heard that right. The Lions sitting at an impressive 9-1 record, but with some obvious concerns on their defense, allowing around 6 points per game, are reportedly eyeing a potential trade that could send St. Brown south to Atlanta. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just a rumor, right? But this one has some serious legs, and let me tell you why it could be a game changer for the Falcons. First off, let's take a closer look at Amon-Ra St. Brown himself. He's a true slot maestro, a guy who runs routes like a Swiss watch, precise, reliable, and always in sync with his quarterback. In just 5 years, he's become one of the most consistent and productive receivers in the league. Over his career, he's hauled in more than 400 catches, gained over 500 yards, and scored 30-plus touchdowns. His career average of 3 yards per reception speaks volumes about his ability to make big plays, especially in clutch moments. His PFF grade, standing at an impressive 87.4, reflects his reliability and elite route-running skills. And when you watch him play, it's clear he's a chain mover, averaging around 2.6 yards per route, with a contested catch rate hovering around 60%. That's the kind of guy who can turn short catches into big gains and keep drives alive. Looking specifically at his 2025 stats, St. Brown is showing why he's one of the top slot receivers in the league. In just 10 games, he's already amassed 66 catches on 94 targets for 735 yards. That's an 1 yards per catch average, and scored 8 touchdowns. His expected points added EPA per target is around 0.30, which places him comfortably among the league's elite chain movers. His yards after catch, YAC, surpass 300 yards, and he maintains a solid 3.2 yards per route run. Interestingly, he's outperforming over 85% of wide receivers in short route efficiency, with a PFF grade of 84.5 in those situations. Plus, he's added a little wrinkle to his game with 9 rushing yards on just 3 attempts, averaging 3.0 yards per carry. That versatility is what makes him such a valuable asset. He's not just a receiver, he's a threat all over the field. Now, why would the Lions consider trading such a key piece? Well, sources indicate that Detroit is looking to tighten up their cap space, especially after acquiring players like Diggs, which has boosted their aerial attack significantly, adding over 150 passing yards per game. Their defense, though solid, is allowing a bit more than they'd like, and with injuries to their offensive line, they're prioritizing cap flexibility. They're reportedly willing to part with St. Brown for a first-round pick in 2026, which would be a huge haul for a player with his consistency and upside. The Lions are also trying to free up around $15 million in cap space, which is crucial for extending their key players like Goff and their defensive linemen, especially considering some injury issues along the offensive line that have hampered their consistency. But what about the Falcons? Well, they are sitting at 3.7, with a cap space just around $4 million and a struggling offense averaging only 19.5 points per game. Their wide receivers haven't quite lived up to expectations, especially with Drake London sidelined for about 6 weeks with a PCL sprain. That leaves Atlanta desperately needing a reliable, game-changing receiver, and Amon-Ra St. Brown fits that bill perfectly. His projection for the Falcons, especially with Kirk Cousins at QB, who has an EPA of 0.12, could be a perfect match. If St. Brown joins Atlanta, he could easily surpass 100 receiving yards, boosting the offense's efficiency by around 18%, with EPA per pass jumping from 0.12 to roughly 0.14 or higher. His presence would open up the field significantly, transforming the Falcons' passing game and making play action more effective. Right now, the Falcons' receivers are averaging just about 2.0 yards per route, Imagine adding a guy like St. Brown who can increase that by plus 0.6 yards per route, creating more space and making defenses pay. And let's not forget, with the Falcons' current defense allowing about 23.9 points per game, having a more dynamic offense that can sustain drives and keep the defense rested is crucial. Adding a receiver of St. Brown's caliber would give Atlanta that extra edge, especially in critical third-down situations, where they currently convert only around 33.9% of their opportunities. Improving that to 40% with a reliable target like him could be the difference in close games, especially as the NFC South heats up with playoff implications. You see, the NFC South is still wide open. The Falcons have a lot of ground to make up, but with a player like St. Brown, they could jumpstart their offense and position themselves as serious contenders. His YAC, yards after catch, could also play a vital role in their game plan, especially in rain-soaked games in the Georgia Dome or on the road. His ability to turn short catches into big gains would be a nightmare for defenses, and it would give the Falcons a much-needed spark in the passing attack. Plus, considering the upcoming draft and free agency, acquiring a player of St. Brown's caliber now could set Atlanta up for sustained success over the next few seasons. Now, some critics might say, is it worth giving up a first-round pick in 2026 for a player like St. Brown? Well, it depends. The Falcons are in a rebuilding phase, but they also need to make a statement this season. Adding a player like him would immediately elevate the team's offensive ceiling. It's about making bold moves when the opportunity arises, especially for a team that's been searching for consistency at the receiver position. Atlanta's front office has shown they're not afraid of making aggressive moves when they see a player who can transform their offense. And with the NFC South still up for grabs, this could be that move that pushes them over the top. Looking ahead, the Super Bowl odds are already climbing for the Falcons, especially if they manage to add a weapon like St. Brown. The latest betting odds have them at plus 10-0, but that number could easily drop to plus 5-0 if this trade happens and the team gels quickly. Their X factor in the playoffs could be YAC, yards after catch in the rain or in tight situations, especially considering the potential to finally have a reliable chain mover and red zone threat. The NFC South's strength is fluctuating, and with other teams like the Seahawks and their Metcalf making moves, the Falcons need to stay aggressive to contend. In summary, this potential trade is more than just a rumor. It's a reflection of how bold Atlanta might need to be to reclaim their spot among the league's elite. Adding Amon-Ra St. Brown could be the piece that ignites their offense and gives them the consistency they need to push deep into the postseason. It's about making smart, strategic moves, and if the Falcons can pull this off, it could be the start of a new era, one where they're not just competing but dominating. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Atlanta Falcons news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you believe the Falcons should pull the trigger and go after Amon-Ra St. Brown? Would you trade a first-round pick in 2026 for a player of his caliber? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Atlanta Falcons news. This is just the beginning. Big things are coming, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Keep the faith, Falcons fans, because this team is on the rise. And with bold moves, they're looking to make a serious statement in the NFC South and beyond.